Hi, this is Mariah Gullo from The Hollywood Reporter, and I'm in studio today with Alex Wolff. Hi, Alex.
Hello, how you doing?
How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
We're here to talk about Hereditary.
Yes.
And just thinking about this movie makes me a little queasy.
Yes, I'm very sorry for putting you through this.
Thank you. Thank you for apologizing.
You accept my apology.
This is one heck of a horror movie and a psychological thriller at the same time, and has an amazing cast. And can you tell me a little bit about how you got involved?
Yeah, well, I read the script about 6 months or maybe a year before I went into audition for the first time. I just happened to get a hold of the script, and I heard it was A24, and you know they can do no wrong. So I wanted to read it immediately, and I didn't quite know how much of a horror movie it was. I knew it was a family drama, and I knew there was some darker elements, but I didn't really know. And in the beginning, I was just thinking, this is just so well written. It's just so brilliantly written. Everybody's talking like people, and they're talking over each other, and just this very naturalistic. It almost seemed like Kenny Lonergan's script or something in the beginning. Just everybody, and then like 20 minutes in, something insane happens.
Yes.
I won't say anything, give anything away, but that's when I was like, oh my God, this is, it's a really special script, and I just knew I had to be part of it. If I had to kill people or I had to, murder anyone to get the part or, hunt Ari down, I was going to do that. So I went into audition, and I just, I blackmailed him emotionally, and then he gave me the part. So I feel very lucky.
Toni Collette plays your mother. You guys have some really intense scenes together. What was that like?
Well, the vibe of the set was always kind of trying to not totally mess up the mood as much as possible, and I like to kind of stay totally in what's going on. So, she's so amazing. She's such an amazing actress and, a great person. So when we were doing that, it felt like kind of an acting masterclass, seeing us both, going head-to-head like that. But, everybody, Gabriel Byrne, I have some insanely intense scenes with him and with Millie Shapiro, and Gabriel Byrne played my dad about 7 years ago on In Treatment, this HBO show, and he was my dad on that, and then he's just kismet that he was my dad on this, and he just totally random thing. So we got super close again. We were already close years ago, and so that was like a natural transition. Then Millie and I went to the same school, so I know she was a few years younger than me, so she was already kind of like a little sister. So it was really interesting how everything formed kind of exactly the way it was supposed to for the movie.
Like I said, this movie is extremely dark, and it kind of makes you dread family. It makes you dread your own house. It just gives this like real
it's
sense
the feel good comedy of the summer.
Right. Even though it does have a couple of kind of funny moments,
totally.
ironically. But what was the feeling on the set? Was everybody trying to kind of keep the mood, like you said? Like, elaborate on that a little bit.
I think it's hard to do the things that we do in the movie without it bleeding a little bit outside. I don't remember, none of us were pulling pranks on set. Like none of us were like yucking it up, like, I don't know, like watching Friends in between takes or anything. Like, it was, it stayed pretty much like, I think it was helpful, and I think that's the only way with a movie like this, because this is not even like a normal drama. There are, and it is, but it's almost the most horrifying circumstances possible. Like, I don't know many movies where it's this demanding of each role and each character. So I don't know. The vibe was just whatever it was supposed to be. It seemed to be always perfect. Ari always made it the right thing that it was supposed to be, and I always felt safe and comfortable with him. I think he's a genius. I really do.
Yeah. There's a lot of interesting set pieces in this movie. There's a theme of miniatures. Toni Collette plays somebody who creates miniatures of her own life, so she's creating these scenes of her own life while things are happening. It's really creepy.
Yeah, no,
what was
definitely.
that like?
Well, we were on a set. He built a whole house. The
house was a set.
The house was a set. Everything was built, and so. It was interesting. I missed ceilings for sure. I do wish there were ceilings. That was hard, but it really gives a great vibe of what the movie is. You know, like the first shot is coming into the house and it looks like a miniature, and then it comes into the house, and I think that's a good metaphor for what's going on, that everyone's sort of faking it. A lot of people are skating over what's really going on, and then bam, something really serious happens, and all the real stuff comes to the forefront, and the movie is just us deteriorating.
Yeah. Are you a fan of the horror genre?
Yeah, I am. I like to see like every horror movie.
What have you been into lately, or what's been?
Well, I'm trying to think. With this movie, so when I was watching this movie, kind of my favorite, the reason I knew Ari was going to be kind of a genius and make the type of movie that I love is when I said, so what was your inspiration for this movie? He said, in the bedroom, the ice storm, all these dramas. And so that was exciting because I was like, oh, good. Like, we're making a movie that's a really good standalone family drama. And then the horror is sort of a manifestation of their guilt and their anger and everything, and it's sort of like a hyperbole. So I thought that was a great sign. But I do love horror. I love that movie Goodnight Mommy. I just rewatched Goodnight Mommy. So good. That movie's great. Goodnight Mommy. Rosemary's Baby is one of my favorites ever. The original Halloween is great. Texas Chainsaw Massacre is great. I recently saw Cabin in the Woods again. I think that's a great.
Oh yeah.
It's a great movie. But I love Babadook and.
Oh, you're really into the psychological thrillers.
Yes, yeah, those are my favorite. Those are.
Do you? I mean, you take some pretty dark roles, and you're pretty early on in your career. Do you worry about being typecast?
As being, I mean, the dark roles I've taken have been so different from each other. I mean, if I get to be in like really good dark movies for the rest of my life, I feel like the luckiest guy in the whole world. I mean, I started on a Nickelodeon kids TV show, and then I was a terrorist, so I sort of feel like there's no real possibility for that.
Is that like a strategy for a lot of young actors to just try to break into serious acting by going really completely in the opposite direction?
I mean, for me, there was like when I was doing the Nickelodeon show, it was the thing. I was a Nickelodeon obsessive, and I was 8 years old, so I was a Nickelodeon obsessive, and to have a show on Nickelodeon, I still think it's awesome, and to have a show on Nickelodeon is the Academy Awards of an 8-year-old. Like, going to the Kids' Choice Awards was the most exciting thing in the world, and so to me that was the most important thing to me then, was doing that, and I took it completely seriously. I thought it was, I cared so much about it, and then as I got older there was no conscious effort. It just, that's sort of the stuff I gravitated towards, and directors think I'm, I guess, very messed up in my my brain.
It's a good skill to have in Hollywood. Okay, I have a couple of questions for you before I let you go. So, if you were to cast your brother in a big summer movie, where would you like to put him? What role would you cast him in?
I think that my brother and I should both be in the Human Centipede. And we'd both be in Human Centipede 2 or 3, and we should both be one of the people.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, going along with the dark theme.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm into it. What was the first job that made you think, I've made it?
Definitely hasn't happened yet, if there's going to be one. But I don't think anyone has a job where they're like, I've made it. Unless you, I'm trying to think of like what it would be. If they did Dora the Explorer, a live action version, I played Diego, or I played Boots. If I played one of them, I feel like I made it. Yeah, and then I've totally reached my peak.
What was the best day on the set of Hereditary?
I was going to say the rap. No,
It's always a fun day.
Yeah, no, I think the best day was, I mean, every day was rewarding. It's hard to say like a best day. One day, it's actually a very small moment, but I haven't really talked about it yet. There was one day where I did a scene where Toni's character comes in, she wakes me up, and I wake up, bolt up, and he was doing this crazy shot, and I think he was really nervous about nailing this camera move, and I was sort of nervous about the scene. And I remember this one moment where, every day we had this a new crazy thing. I feel like he and I both talked about how we were swinging for the fences the whole movie. And there's this moment where I mostly listened to Colin Stetson, the guy who did the music for the movie, in my headphones before we started. But this one day I was really listening to Kendrick Lamar's new album, Damn, and I was listening to the song XXX, and it like kicks in this really hard beat, and it's like, it's just so good. So I was blasting it, and I was really nervous, and he was sitting at the monitor really nervous, and I came over, I put a headphone in his ear, we were both sitting there, I pressed play, and it was like, and it played so hard, and we both went like this, and he was like, getting my heart racing. We both took it out, I got in my position, I was fired up, he was fired up, he's like, all right, action. We just got our confidence, and that was a really good moment. I was like, we're so in sync.
That's great.
That was really cool. And then another time, he came up to me once and said, new rule, no movies without Alex Wolff. And I was like, that's awesome. That was cool.
You know, you're also a director. So
yeah.
do you have big plans for the future with that?
Well, I just directed and a script that I wrote, and I starred in it, my first feature film. And I'd done a bunch of shorts and stuff, but this is my first feature, and I just finished it a couple months ago. That was like the most rewarding, exciting experience of my life, so that was really cool.
You think you're going to be kind of paralleling like the directing and the acting, just kind of doing
Hope so. I mean, with this one, I definitely wanted to direct and star in it, and I definitely want to do it again. I mean, it's like an addiction, but I was calling Ari all the time, panicking about stuff, like asking him for help.
You guys are bonded now.
Bonded for life, yeah.
Yeah.
We go on dates like every Thursday. We have date night.
Nice. Last great piece of career advice you've gotten.
I don't know if many people care that much about my career to talk about, give me advice, but I'm trying to think. I get really good ones. Oh, yeah. I mean, Chris Cooper said to me he had a bunch of scenes cut out of American Beauty, and he was really upset about it. And at first, and then, you know, he couldn't watch it for so long, and then he got like nominated for an Academy Award, and it changed his life. And now he sees it as now he loves the way it's crafted and everything. And he sort of told me that, you know, don't let anybody take anything away from you. Don't let anybody take anything away from you, because you still did the work, you still put it in, and whatever ends up on the screen is special for its own reason, and to be proud of basically whatever you do. That's sort of a convoluted way of saying what he said, but essentially be proud of what you do, and everything that's out of your control, you just let it pass. And
acceptance.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Worst audition story?
I have a long list of bad audition stories. I went in for something, and I had something else later that I was thinking about, and this was sort of like a last minute thing, and I went in and I really didn't work on it, and I was just free-balling, looking down, didn't know any of the lines, and the guy stopped me and said, hey, do you want to go outside and do this, because you don't know any of these lines? And I was like, yeah, sorry. And he was like, you know what, thanks for coming in. And he turned to the guy, and he like laughed at the guy that I didn't know my lines.
Oh,
like,
no.
Shit. And then I left. And then I got the part. No, I didn't. Never heard from them again.
Well, Alex, thank you so much for coming in. The movie is Hereditary.
Yes.
And thank you for haunting my dreams.
Yes.